How would you feel if your family is thriving, healthy, happy, and living their best life, even after dealing with the pain of losing you? How amazing would you feel if your children, who are now fully grown, have families of their own that they're raising, are now enjoying the house that you left for them rather than struggling to find a home to call their own? Can't get approved for a mortgage, struggling to pay rent. Instead of that, they're actually enjoying the home that you left them. How great would it be if your business is still running smoothly and continuing its mission long after you, the founder, have passed on? These are just a fraction of the possibilities that can occur when planning your legacy. The question then becomes where to begin. And that's what we're here to discuss in today's video, how to create your dream legacy. So in order to do this, we're going to begin with 3 keys to making these dreams a reality. You want to keep tuning in. We're going to kind of build it out week by week, but today is just the creation stage. All right. So the first key today is to, one, imagine your paradise. Now I'm saying that very specifically, very particularly, your paradise, the best possible outcome for you. What would that look like? What is the end result that you wish to see come to life? What is it that you want to create for others to benefit from long after you are gone? Always start with the end in mind and always start with the best in mind, okay? When counseling clients, we start with their objective. What do you want to bring to life? What do you want to see? Who do you want to take care of? What do you want to give? What is that going to say about you? What is that legacy going to be? Okay. And this is very important that you think from the end, because even if you don't have everything now, what's the goal? What are you aiming for? Yes, we're going to cover what you have now, right? We're going to make sure all those bases are covered because we don't know when, right, our death is going to be. It can be untimely. It can be decades from now. So it's very important to cover everything that you have as you go along. But that doesn't mean that you ignore all the things you want to accumulate along the way. All right. So always start with that paradise. You know, a lot of people think of like their dream retirement. You're on the beach with your toes in the sand, the water coming up crystal clear in the Caribbean somewhere, bright blue skies and sunshine. You're sitting underneath an umbrella shade and life is just gravy, right? That's the perfect retirement. What is that scenario for you in terms of after you're gone? Who's going to be able to enjoy that for themselves because you left it for them? Right. So is it going to be your adult children? Is it going to be your minor children? Is it going to be your employees in your business? Is it going to be your church, your charity? What is that paradise going to look like for them? What is that paradise you're creating for them? All right. It doesn't matter if you don't have, again, everything set up right away. Right. Or let's think again of dream retirement. Maybe it's decades into the future, but that's still something, that's the vision you're holding in mind because that's where you want to be. And it doesn't have to be. Maybe you're not going to retire because you want to keep working and building and growing and mentoring youth, right? Whatever it looks like for you. That's why it's very important. It's tailored. What does it look like for you? And imagine. It all starts in the imagination in your mind. You have to imagine what you want to bring about. And again, paradise, something that's pleasurable, something that's good, something that's going to be good for other people. And it doesn't mean you're going to have to necessarily like spoil them or that you can't put in provisions about, how they can gain this, right? But you want to leave the best. So think very highly. Think very highly of yourself in terms of what you're able to accomplish, very highly of yourself in terms of what you've already done, and very highly of yourself in terms of you being the person that steps up for other people. Because it's not about you ultimately. And so much of my work and so much of life, right, doesn't even matter outside of my work. It's not about what we're doing right here and right now. Yes, we are doing the best that we can. Yes, that's why we work, so we can provide for our family right now, right? So we're not starving every day, we're not hungry, but we're also doing it for a longer term picture because we know that we're not going to be here forever. And we know that there's still going to be people here that are going to need our assistance in some way or another. So what are we doing in the long term to take care of them, right, when that time comes? That's what this is all about. So think as far into the future as you can. Doesn't even have to be your children, your grandchildren, your great grandchildren, right? 4 or 5 generations down, 10, it doesn't matter. Some of the greatest institutions in the United States of America, and I use greatest in terms of long lasting and enduring, and even, the people that they've been able to benefit in some way or another, have been things like major universities, colleges, museums, libraries, all of that. think of how many people have been able to at least benefit from it in some way or another. You can feel how you want to feel about formal education, right? It has its pros and cons, but somebody got something from it along the way, right? And so many of them have been around for centuries. A lot of them have been around for centuries. So that's why I say think as far into the future as you can because it is not limited. The only limit is what you put on it. Okay. And so when we're talking about a dream legacy, go big. Go big. Don't think about just what you have now, but everything you want to gain along the way. And I also say that because one really crucial, I think, limitation is thinking that once we have a legacy plan in place, right, or an estate plan, we think it's one and done. We can never change it again. We can't go back on it. That is not true at all. Okay. It is constantly going to be changing as you change because change is the only constant in life. All right. So maybe you did plan something for a child to take over, and perhaps tragically that child has now passed away. Well, who is it going to be now? Maybe it was a spouse and now you're divorced. Who is it going to be now? Maybe it's a child that you didn't have when you first started and you do now. How are you going to include them, right? Things change, life changes. Do not be afraid of it. Adjust as it comes along. All right. And that includes your legacy plan. It can change. There are some and very limited tools that will not change, but you do it for a very particular purpose. We're not going to get into it in today's video, but just know that you always want to give yourself the option to change and adjust because life requires changes and adjustments. All right. So, first, imagine that paradise. And even that might change, right, over the years, over the decades. But where you are right now, imagine where you want to be when it's all said and done. Okay. And kind of build out from there. And again, in 10 years, that can change. If it doesn't, that's okay too. But just be open to it. So the first key is to imagine your paradise. The second is to inquire with a professional. And I say this also for a very particular reason because too often we have dreams, we have these grand visions, these goals, and then they just stay there. They just stay as dreams. They stay as visions. They stay as goals. They don't come into fruition because we don't act on them, because we become overwhelmed by them. But the good news is that you do not need to figure it out all on your own. This is where inquiring with a professional begins. Okay. Doesn't mean you need to have everything in place and figure out already. No, again, like I said in the first place, no, you don't need to have everything set up right away. But if you're taking this next step of inquiring with a professional, what it does mean is that you have now reached a level where you know you need some help. You know you need some help from someone who's able to help you to make your dreams come true, to make your dreams a reality. The same is true in business, okay? So you cannot run a multi-million dollar or multi-billion dollar corporation alone. Period. You can't run a family alone, right? I know that as single parents, right, we do the best that we can to take care of our children. It's difficult, and we're not going to be there every step of the way, right? Sometimes we're going to have to ask for a neighbor to watch the kids. We're going to have to put them in daycare, in school, something while we work, right? So, I mean, even if you do have just one person is not going to be able to do it all. So this is where it comes in and asking for help from somebody that is a professional, somebody you can trust, somebody that is competent. They have this expertise. They know how to help you. They're willing to help you. They can help you, all for the right reasons, right? To actually help you, not help themselves, okay? Help you. They're going to give you the best advice possible. They're going to value you and give you the value you deserve, all right? So when it comes to, just like we mentioned, the multi-million dollar business, the multi-billion dollar business, at some point they had to seek help. And guess what? They actually had to hire and keep professionals to sustain the business because it became so much bigger than them. That's what we're always doing. We're always establishing, creating things that are so much bigger than us. And because they are bigger than us, we need this help. All right. We are going to need other people to make this happen because we're actually doing it for other people anyway. So it just makes sense to involve others. All right. So once again, think of your grand legacy as your business, as your family's empire. And if you have a business you wish to include in the planning, in the empire, then you understand this critical step also because you've maybe been there. You've been there with the hiring. You've been there with the seeking professional help, right? You know what that is. You know how valuable it can be. And even if you've been burned by it, don't be suspicious forever, right? You know, sometimes we're going to have to learn the hard way, or sometimes we're going to take a risk and it doesn't pay off. That doesn't mean you never do it again. All right. We just become more calculated in our decisions, more calculated in our risk management. All right. As attorneys, often we are known to avoid a risk, and that is always the wrong approach because if you avoid risk, you cannot gain reward. Risk and reward are two sides of the same coin. All right. You just got to get better at flipping that coin so that it lands on rewards more than it lands on risks for you. All right. But don't ever avoid it. Don't ever avoid it, and seek until you find. Right? There's a scripture, seek and ye shall find. Yes, you shall. That means you will find it. But if you stop seeking, you cannot. Okay? So keep that in mind. Don't be afraid of seeking help or trying to DIY everything. You will get overwhelmed. And then the overwhelm will lead to stagnation. Stagnation leads to it never happening. So you don't want that to happen because there's so much on the line. You want to care for it as best as possible. So seek the right help. Professionals with expertise in what you are doing or what you are trying to accomplish, that's what you want to seek out. Another example, if you needed heart surgery, if you had some kind of heart complications, it would be best for you to go to a cardiologist, right? A doctor who specializes in care of the heart, not a podiatrist, a doctor who specializes in care of the feet, right? You see how they're both doctors, they're both very credentialed, competent, they're able to help you, but they have two different specialization areas. If you're looking for the heart, you don't go to the foot. If you're looking for the foot, you don't go to the heart. Just makes sense, right? The same is true when legacy planning. I call it legacy planning. You also hear about estate planning, right? So it's best to go to an attorney who is specialized in that field rather than, let's say, an attorney who's specializing in criminal defense. Those are totally different fields, right? Yes, they are the same areas of law. A lot of general principles apply, but you're not looking for someone to defend you for a crime from a crime that you were accused of committed, right? You're looking for someone to help you build this grand legacy. So two different fields. So seek what you are looking for and seek it until you find it. Don't be afraid. All right, so that's the second key, which was to inquire with a professional. The third key is to implement your plan. Now, it seems kind of backwards because this is where most people start. And this is perhaps what confuses so many people from moving forward or actually realizing what it is that they set out to accomplish. They ask questions like, do I need a will? Do I need a trust? What is a power of attorney? What is estate planning? How can it help me? How can I avoid probate court? Right? And these are all great questions, but this is once again the final step. Okay. So once again, we first imagine our paradise, our dream paradise. What does that look like for us? And let's kind of think about the end in mind again, because while this is the final step, we do often start from the beginning. So does your dream paradise of leaving this grand legacy to other people, does it involve your affairs being tied up in court? Or does it involve a seamless private transition outside of court? And there's no right or wrong answer. This is just up to you. All right. These are questions to just kind of generate this imagination. All right. So you can start to look into the future and see what it is that you want. So once you answer that question, let's just say, then are you able to do this without help or do you require the assistance of a professional? Especially if you have a very high level of net worth or assets to protect, right? So that's the inquiring with a professional part. Then we can implement a plan. Okay, so let's just answer the questions. Does your affairs involve being tied up in court or seamless private transition outside of court? Let's say, you know what, I'd rather have it be seamless, smooth, and easy. That's my paradise. Okay, so that's number one. That's imagining the paradise. Once you've answered that question, now, can you do this with or without help, especially if you have a lot? Let's say you have a $10 million estate. Can you do that alone? There might be some things that I'm worried about, like taxes or, inheritance taxes, estate taxes. Maybe I'm worried about tying it up in two different, assets. I might need some professional help. Okay, well, then that's where you go to inquire with a professional. Now we can implement the plan, right? So based on that scenario, if no court is desired, but a seamless transition instead, then when it comes to a will or a trust, the professional then will likely recommend a trust. Okay. Just based on that very simple scenario. Again, it's going to be customized, it's going to be tailored. There may be more questions to be asked, obviously, but it's just a very simple scenario to get you to understand how it works. Imagine the end. Imagine what it's going to look like for you. Is it going to involve a lot of family fighting? Is it going to involve a smooth transition? Are there multiple properties involved? Like, what is it going to look like in terms of that? And then how is it going to feel, right? Is it going to be this feeling of peace and freedom? Is it gonna be this feeling of protection, right? Whoever that we're caring for, they feel like we did the best we could for them, and we're still protecting them even though we're not even here anymore. Is it gonna involve, court or not? Do we wanna go there? Think about that. Then it doesn't have to even be the legal terms. Think about the feeling you want to bring forth once you're gone. Do you want that love and security blanket kind of still wrapping around your loved ones? And it doesn't have to be to where they can't grow, right? But you can leave them something when hard times come along. Excuse me. Or you can set them up, right? And then have provisions in place for them so that they can keep going along that path. It's all up to you. So that's why the biggest and most important step is backwards again. You start from the end of what you want to imagine, but that is the first step because you have to imagine that paradise first. If you don't imagine it first, then you can't get there. All right. Let's think about a road trip. And we're here in Detroit, Michigan. Let's say we're going to be driving down to Miami, Florida. So that's kind of straight down the United States, north to south. Okay. Well, I'm not going to get to Miami if I don't know I want to get to Miami. Right? So we gotta start there. Where is it where I'm trying to go? And then we can chart the path along the way, and do we even wanna drive? Are we gonna fly instead? Are we trying to get there as fast as possible? Do we wanna road trip it and kind of, see sights and everything? It doesn't matter, it's what we want to see, but we have to start with the end in mind. Where are we going? What is it gonna look like for us? And then we kinda build up along the way. Okay, so I hope this video has been helpful. This has been how to create your dream legacy. If this has been helpful, please do like, share, and subscribe. And also check out our links we have to offer in the description that will give you a lot more of why this is so important and also the downsides of not planning. We have a video presentation on 7 disasters. If you fail to create an estate plan, you never reach that paradise. Okay. So this is Attorney Tina Patterson. We will be back again next Thursday, April 3rd, I believe it is, at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. April 4th, I believe. 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, take care.